Hello and welcome to Government Unit 3. This video is all about elections. Okay, so when you go to vote in an election, there are two ways to do it. One is the way that most of you are probably aware of, where you actually go to a polling place and vote there. You don't have to, though. Many people, myself included, don't go to a polling station. In fact, I've never been to a polling station, and yet I've voted many, many times. How do I do that? I do that through what's known as an absentee ballot. An absentee ballot is how you can vote by mail. That's where the name absentee ballot comes from, because you are absent from the voting station because you're going to vote by mail instead. Now you have to do it in advance. There's a deadline that will come before actual voting day, but as long as you make that, you get to vote early and without having to take time off of work or drive to the station and wait in a line. You just do it at home, drop it in the mail. Now, the elections that get the most attention are the ones that are for our representatives. For example, governors, mayors, presidents, that kind of thing. But before you actually vote who's going to get the office, there's something that's known as a direct primary. A direct primary will happen a few months before the final election, and that is the election in which members of a political party choose candidates to run for office in the name of the party, usually around July before the general election. So, for example, in 2012, the Democrats decided to not have a primary, and they just went ahead and picked President Obama, because usually if you have a candidate that's already in the White House, it's best to just stick with him. But in 2012, the Republicans didn't have someone in the White House, so they had a direct primary. And the winner of that direct primary was Mitt Romney. Now, that doesn't mean Mitt Romney became president. That just means he won the primary election to be able to represent the Republicans in the actual general election. And the general election, that's the final vote, usually in November, where it is decided who's going to actually take the office of president, governor, mayor, whatever. But each candidate has to win the primary for their political party first. Now, in California, voting for representatives is not the only thing you vote for. In California, you get to vote on many more things. For example, initiatives. Initiatives are the process by which citizens can propose laws. And if enough people sign the initiative, it goes to a statewide vote. And then if the people vote to make it law, it becomes law and has nothing to do with Congress. So the state Congress, the state legislature, does pass laws. We do send representatives to state Congress, state legislature to pass laws, but you can also do it yourself if you can get enough people to support you, and you can actually get a law passed that would go above the power of Congress even, and the governor too. And many, many laws in California have been passed that way. For example, one of the most famous initiatives is known as Proposition 13. Proposition 13 limited property taxes because in the 1970s, property taxes were increasing at such a rate that people were losing their homes because they couldn't afford to pay the taxes on their homes. So Proposition 13 was passed by voters because the state government was unwilling to do anything about it. They were making a lot of money off of it. So the people took it into their hands and said, no, no more. We want a limit on how much property tax we have to pay on our houses, and they got it. And very similar to that is something called a referendum. That's a law that was passed by the state legislature, not by the people, but the people decided after the law was passed that they hated it. They thought it was a terrible law. That's a corrupt law. It hurts people. So kind of like an initiative, which is used by people to make a law, a referendum can be used by the people, like you and me, to kill a law that was passed that we feel is wrong. And if that successfully happens, there's nothing the governor or the state government can do about it. The people's vote is final. The final thing that you can vote on is a recall. This is kind of like referendum, a way of undoing things that you think or the people think is wrong. A referendum is about undoing a bad law. Recall is about taking back an election for a representative. For example, Arnold Schwarzenegger was not too long ago a governor of California. He got to be governor of California because the governor before him was recalled by California citizens. A lot of people really didn't like the governor at the time. His name was Gray Davis. And so they had a vote, a recall vote, to kick him out of office. And then they had another vote to decide who would replace him. And that is how Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor of California. He filled the spot that was left empty by the previous governor who got kicked out by the people, California citizens. And that's all there is to know about elections for right now. If you have any questions, let me know in class. Thank you.